Welcome to my apiary. I was asked to make a video about how this melter works and does its thing. And there's a few different things that I'm doing with it, so I'll try and explain. Don't let this throw you. I had to repair this. It was a sight glass system. It was very poor design and it leaked from day one. So I had to repair it, and I need to wait till I cool the jacket down again so that I can flip this around and hook it up down here. So that's just kind of half installed at this point. These tubes go into the jacket, and there was a clear sight glass kind of a thing here, which was fine, not really necessary, because you can always just look down the hole here. And so that I've replaced that. I had to replace that because I couldn't get at my store the same coupler, and what was wrong was this elbow was cracked and it's glued to the coupler, so I'd have to buy that same coupler to couple to the sight glass thing, which they didn't have that. It's kind of a specialty thing, I guess. It was way different than the same kind of a thing, but totally different size than what was at my store. Having said that, I'm just getting to the end of my long process of trying to get the honey out of this tank. This is my cappings wax, and I don't have a good cappings processing system. It just goes into a tank and it goes into pails. Well, the tank, I can drain the tank, the capping tank, as I go, but that gets the vast majority of the honey out of it, but there's still a lot of honey in that wax. So when I started, there was more wax than would go in here. I had it heaped up, the lid wouldn't hardly go on, and would have to sink down over time. And I've taken, I don't know how much, probably 300 pounds or more of honey out of here over time, and I've just been jacking the temperature every few days. When I feel like I've gotten most of the honey that'll come out at that temperature, I'll jack the temperature another 10 degrees Celsius and then do the same thing for a number of days. I think I've been at this 2 weeks now, which I gotta knock it off because I got work to do. I've got work for this thing to do. So this is the start of the work this thing has to do, and you can see how far down then the cappings have gone now. And not only that, but you can see around the edges. Get the camera. You can see around the edges where it's actually melting the wax. Okay, so wax floats on water and wax floats on honey. So you can melt the wax and tap the honey off the bottom. So, but this is all considered what I consider clean wax. I've got clean wax and dirty wax. The clean wax has not been contaminated. Yeah, okay, there was a broken frame, a little bit of wood, but wood doesn't hurt you. I mean, as long as you strain it out, there's nothing wrong with it that's going to make the honey bad. You might be able to hear that element boiling away under there. I've just jacked the temperature to 75. So 75 should melt this wax. And once I do, I'm going to once again peel off whatever's at the bottom, which will be honey. So there will be some honey come out the bottom. It's going to be very dark. I hope there's not very much. It always breaks my heart to ruin honey. But I'll get the honey out of the bottom, and when the wax starts to come out of there, then I'll stop. And when I stop, I will then fill this with water. I will fill this with water until the melted wax is right at the top. Before I fill it with water, however, I will install this. It's kind of a strainer, kind of an upside down strainer. And that'll push down on top of the melted wax and it'll push most of the slum gum down to the bottom. And then I'll fill it with water. Fill it right up to the top with water. And then I will let it sit overnight. And when you put water in it, of course, the wax solidifies again, at least the top. And so leave it overnight to let it liquefy again. And the idea to push the slum gum down to the bottom and put the water in, and then heat the water, then whatever wax is in the slum gum will most likely, and there's nothing 100%, but most likely it'll percolate up through the slum gum and rise to the top of the water. Now once that's done, then I can use the mid tap and pour off almost perfectly clean wax. It's quite lovely the way it comes out of there. It's very, very clean. And because what you'll have there is you'll have slum at the bottom. This tap is just the jacket. That's how you empty the jacket. So you'll have slum at the bottom, then the strainer. You'll have water, and then you'll have a bit of junk that floats on water but won't float in wax. So there's always a line of junk in there. And the problem is, because I'm putting the wax in first and the water in second, I don't know where the line between the water and the wax will end up being. Okay, I anticipate it'll likely be down here somewhere, but who knows. So I will pour off all the wax I can pour off, and then I'll have fairly clean wax, and then I'll have maybe some crap that floats on top of the wax. So I'll pour that off in the center of the wax where it's nice and clean. And once I get to that point, then I'll put more water in it and bring the water right up as high as I can, and then let it sit for another day. Do this again. Now the first pour then is going to be water, and then as the water comes down, you'll get that junk layer between the water and the wax. And then as you tap more of it off, then you'll get more clean wax. If you had your wax in blocks, and you could put the water in first, then you want to put your water in just below that tap, maybe half an inch to an inch below that tap. Here I'm talking imperial again. Make fun of me if you want. Because then the water will be up to here, and then you'll have clean wax, and you won't have to tap off that transition between the water and the wax. Now the fact that my wax is in here already, I don't know, I can't tell how far to fill that. So I'll just fill it up as high as I can, and I'll tap off the water, and then when that goes down, I'll tap off the wax. So that's what's going to happen, and I'll video this as I'm doing it, and I hope it's interesting to you when I do thusly.